He'd seen that jacket 100 times. On stage, in photos, in dreams. But when Elvis spotted Priscilla wearing his old leather jacket at a 1972 show, he stopped mid-song. The crowd went silent. What he said next wasn't rehearsed. It was a confession millions never forgot. Stay, because this moment wasn't about fashion or fame. It was about the memory stitched into that jacket, and the words that rewrote how Elvis saw love itself. June 18, 1972, Las Vegas Hilton. The air vibrates before the curtains even part. Cigarette smoke coils above champagne glasses. Dealers on break lean against the back wall, waiting for the first note. When the lights dim, the noise melts into one heartbeat. 18,000 people waiting for the king. Then the spotlight cuts through. Elvis steps out in white and gold, a grin that could melt glass. The brass explodes. Can't Help Falling in Love begins, slow and sure, like sunlight dripping down velvet. Every flashbulb catches him in motion, hips, hands, sweat. But halfway through the first verse, he glances toward the VIP rows and freezes. She's there. Priscilla. Her hair swept low, calm smile, and across her shoulders, the 1968 black leather jacket. The one from the comeback special. The one that changed everything. For a moment, sound collapses around him. The band keeps playing, but his voice trails off like a record losing power. Glenn Hardin on keys shoots him a worried look. Charlie Hodge mouths, "You okay?" Elvis doesn't answer. His eyes stay locked on the jacket, catching the stage lights in all its old creases. He remembers the smell of studio sweat, the roar of that first comeback crowd, the weight of the guitar pressing against that very leather. And now she's wearing it. He blinks hard, grips the mic, tries to keep singing, but the words stumble. The audience senses something shift. A murmur ripples through the seats. Every camera flash feels like lightning. Every whisper feels too loud. Have you ever seen the past walk into the room like it never left? He clears his throat, smiles half-heartedly, and forces the line out, but his rhythm is gone. Even the colonel, pacing near the wings, frowns. Elvis steps back from the mic. His fingers tighten on the stand. That jacket, it wasn't just cloth and stitching. It was him before fame became a cage. The brass fades. The drummer slows, unsure if the song is ending or breaking. The crowd starts to clap on instinct, but stops when he raises a hand. His voice drops low. "Give me a second, folks." The hush spreads like a wave from front to back. He looks straight at Priscilla again. She doesn't flinch. The jacket's zipper glints like a challenge. Something in his chest twists, half memory, half regret. He breathes in, the mic catching every sound. The crowd leans forward, a single living organism made of curiosity and nostalgia. What happens when the one thing you thought you'd lost comes back wearing your favorite piece of the past? The spotlight warms his face. The orchestra waits. The band keeps playing, but Elvis doesn't. For a few seconds, Elvis doesn't move. He stands in the glare, eyes fixed on Priscilla, and the black jacket that used to be his armor. The crowd thinks it's part of the show, but the band knows it isn't. James Burton's fingers hover over the strings, waiting for a cue that doesn't come. Elvis finally exhales, sets his guitar down, and walks forward. Every flashbulb goes off at once. The room hums with confusion and awe. That jacket wasn't just leather. It was the same one he wore on December 3, 1968, during the NBC special. The one that carried him out of decline and back into legend. The one that smelled of sweat, stage dust, and second chances. He can almost feel the echo of that moment. Studio lights, his voice reborn, the audience realizing he'd never left. Now it hangs on Priscilla's shoulders, soft at the seams but heavy with memory. The colonel shifts in the shadows, waving for someone to fade the lights. Security glances toward the stage edge. Claudette, the floor manager, whispers into her radio, "What's he doing?" But Priscilla doesn't move. She looks up, calm, unblinking. Her half-smile isn't pride. It's a kind of peace, maybe a dare. The air is thick enough to touch. Even the slot machines in the lobby seem to go quiet. Elvis takes another step. The crowd leans forward, holding breath like it's currency. He stops at the edge of the stage, only a few feet away. His voice carries without the mic. "I remember that jacket," he says softly. A few people laugh nervously, unsure if it's a joke. But his tone cuts through them like glass. "That jacket saw me when I didn't have much left to give." Priscilla tilts her head, the light catching her earrings. She doesn't answer. She doesn't need to. Her eyes say everything. What do you do when the person wearing your past sits 10 feet away? When the ghosts you thought you buried come back dressed in leather and grace? The audience senses this isn't about music anymore. This is a conversation in public. Two people speaking through silence. He picks the mic back up. His hand trembles slightly, barely visible, but the camera lenses catch it. He clears his throat. "You look good in it, darlin'," he says with a faint smile. "Better than I ever did." The crowd laughs, relieved, but he doesn't. His face stays solemn, thoughtful. Then he lowers the mic again and whispers something the front row barely catches. She still remembers the man inside that jacket. It's not meant for the audience. It's meant for her. Priscilla's smile fades into something softer, sad, maybe grateful. From the corner, the colonel mutters, "He's off script," but Elvis doesn't hear him. The past is louder than the present. He touches the edge of the stage, knuckles white, then turns to the band. The room waits, trembling with the sense that something irreversible is about to happen. He nods once, silent command. The brass dies down. The strings hold a single note. Then, slowly, he lays his guitar down mid-song and walks toward the microphone again. Not as a performer, but as a man chasing a memory. The stage lights blur like halos in the heat. Elvis steps closer to the mic, but he doesn't sing. He's staring at the jacket, at the woman wearing it, and at everything that once was. The crowd shifts uneasily. A few fans shout, "We love you, Elvis," but even their voices sound small inside the stillness he's built. Reporters scribble in their notebooks, sensing history in real time. A photographer clicks just as he wipes sweat from his brow. The flash catches him mid-thought, vulnerable, unguarded. Later, that photo would appear on the front page with the caption, "He looked like he'd seen a ghost." Glenn Harden keeps a soft drone on the keys, uncertain if he should stop. James Burton lowers his guitar, eyes darting toward the colonel, who's pacing in the dark wings. Elvis ignores them all. He takes one slow breath, then another. Every muscle in his jaw tightens, the crowd's energy pressing against him like a tide. That jacket gleams under the lights, its creases still shaped to his body, every fold a scar of the years he fought to return. He steps forward again. The gold embroidery on his sleeve flickers against the black leather. Two colors, past and present, facing each other. Priscilla looks up at him. Her expression is calm, but her eyes shimmer. It's not defiance. It's memory. The hush deepens. You can hear the whir of a film reel, the buzz of a ceiling light, even the breath of the man at the front table. Then, without warning, Elvis leans into the mic. His voice is quiet, low, trembling but deliberate. "That jacket's got stories, honey." A few people laugh nervously again, but then they realize he isn't smiling. He's remembering. He turns slightly to the audience, still speaking to her but loud enough for the room. "Back when I wore that, I was trying to prove I still had something left in me." He pauses. "I didn't know what love cost back then." The words sink like stones in water. The camera crew backstage stops rolling. The director whispers, "Keep it running." Even the colonel doesn't interrupt now. Is love ever really over? Or does it just change shape? When the lights dim, do the memories fade? Or do they just learn to stand in the shadows? Elvis adjusts the mic height, his hand shaking slightly. The jacket catches a pulse of red from the spotlight. It looks alive, almost breathing. He glances toward Glenn on keys, nods once. "Hold that note," he murmurs. Then he closes his eyes and says quietly, "That jacket got me back on my feet. But some ghosts never leave, do they?" The audience doesn't answer. They can't. They just sit, 18,000 hearts beating in time with one man's silence. He opens his eyes again, looks at her, and for the first time that night, smiles. Small. Sud. Real. He whispers, almost to himself, "Guess I never really took it off." For a heartbeat, no one moves. Then Elvis steps closer to the microphone and does something no one expects. He talks. Not with the performer's charm, not with rehearsed banter. His voice is low, slow, and raw. "I wore that jacket when I thought I'd lost everything," he says. "And I got it back. Because of her." The crowd gasps softly. A few cameras flash. The light bounces off the black leather across the room, his past staring right back at him. He smiles faintly, almost apologetically. "That jacket ain't just leather," he continues. "It's armor. Every note I sang in it, every drop of sweat. It was stitched with hope, faith, love, and a few mistakes too." The band has stopped completely now. The brass players lower their horns. Even the air seems afraid to move. Elvis glances toward the colonel, who stands rigid, red-faced. He ignores him. He's not the king right now. He's just a man confessing. "Funny thing about that jacket," he says softly. "I thought it made me strong. But the real strength came from the person who believed in me when I didn't." He nods toward Priscilla. She doesn't rise yet. Her eyes glisten, fixed on him, and for the first time all night, she looks vulnerable too. You can almost hear the audience thinking, was this planned? Was this real? A woman in the fourth row covers her mouth. A man in a tux mutters, "My God!" Elvis lets the silence breathe. He looks down at the mic, thumb tracing the edge. He seems unsure what to say next, then finds it anyway. "Sometimes we wear the past to remind us who we were," he murmurs. "Sometimes it reminds us who we still love." A tremor rolls through the crowd. You can hear someone sniffle in the front row. This isn't a concert anymore. It's confession, live under neon. He steps back, looks directly at Priscilla. "I never said it right before," he says. "But thank you for keeping me human." That's when Priscilla stands. The jacket moves with her, folds catching the spotlight like a wave. Her eyes shine, but she doesn't speak. She just smiles through tears. Have you ever confessed in front of thousands, just to reach one person? Ever seen love turn a stage into something sacred? The band waits for a cue that never comes. Elvis exhales, heavy but peaceful. He lowers the mic, whispers only one more line. Meant for her, not the crowd. Guess the song ain't over yet. And in that moment, every single person in that room knows they've just witnessed something no record could ever capture. The audience is still frozen when Elvis turns away from the mic. His hand trembles as he wipes his forehead. Then, quietly, he speaks to the band. "Glenn, E major." The musicians glance at each other. They know what that means, but they've never played it live. "Always on my mind." A song that wasn't rehearsed, wasn't scheduled, wasn't meant to see the stage that night. Glenn's fingers hover above the keys. He nods once. Soft chords spill into the room like a secret being told. Elvis grips the microphone with both hands, eyes never leaving Priscilla. The crowd doesn't cheer this time. They lean forward, breath held. He starts low. "Maybe I didn't treat you quite as good as I should have." Each word lands like it's being pulled from somewhere deep inside him. He doesn't just sing, he confesses. The melody feels fragile, trembling under the weight of every memory between them. Halfway through the verse, his voice cracks. He doesn't hide it. He lets it bleed. That imperfection makes it real. The lights dim to amber, washing the stage in warmth. In the third row, a woman sobs openly. Even the ushers stop to listen. Elvis closes his eyes, lost in it now. Every lyric feels like an apology carved into melody. He sways with the rhythm, slow, controlled, reverent. The crowd becomes an ocean of still faces, lit only by the stage glow. You can hear the camera shutters clicking, tiny echoes in the dark. Priscilla lowers her gaze. Her hand moves almost unconsciously, fingertips brushing the jacket sleeve. Then she presses it to her heart. Something shifts inside the room. The audience feels it, grief, forgiveness, and something larger than both. A current of emotion sweeps through the Hilton showroom. Elvis opens his eyes again and sings softer. Little things I should have said and done. He looks down, smile flickering like a dying candle. I just never took the time. Each syllable lands heavy. Not for performance. For truth. When he reaches the line, "You were always on my mind," he doesn't belt it out. He whispers it. A whisper somehow louder than any high note. Then silence. The band stops. He stands still, breathing hard, staring at her. It's not an ending. It's a surrender. The crowd doesn't know whether to clap or cry. Then, quietly, someone starts applauding. One person, then hundreds, then everyone. 18,000 voices rise together. But Elvis doesn't bow. He lets the sound wash over him, eyes glistening, still looking toward the woman who wore his past like a mirror. When does a song stop being performance and start being forgiveness? Tonight, the answer fills the room. He lowers the mic, whispers one last line, barely audible. You were always on my mind. And he lets the microphone fall to his side. The final note fades like smoke. Elvis stays still, head bowed. The crowd roars, but he doesn't raise a hand. Not yet. When he finally looks up, his eyes search the VIP row. Priscilla is standing, jacket draped across her shoulders, tears streaking her cheeks. He takes a slow breath, then leaves the mic behind. Step by step, he walks off stage. The audience erupts, thinking the show's over. But backstage, something else is happening. Security parts a small path through the hallway. Fans crowd the barricades, screaming, cameras flashing like stars. Elvis moves past them silently, his white jumpsuit glowing under the corridor lights. Near the side exit, she's waiting. Priscilla. For a moment, they just look at each other. No stage. No spotlight. Just two people and a memory. You still wear it better than I ever did, he says softly. She smiles through a breath that sounds half like a laugh, half like a sob. It was never just yours. She slips the jacket from her shoulders and folds it carefully over his arm. He runs his fingers across the collar, tracing the faint creases shaped by years of history. Funny, he murmurs. It still smells like that night. She tilts her head. The one where you came back to life? He laughs just once. Something like that. From down the hall, Charlie Hodge approaches with a marker. You need to sign a few things, E. Elvis shakes his head. Just one. He flips the jacket open, uncaps the pen, and presses silver ink to the inner lining. Each word slow, deliberate. For the one who knew me before the crown. He caps the pen, stares at what he's written. Then he hands the jacket back to her. Her eyes widen. No. It's yours. Elvis shakes his head gently. It's ours. Keep it safe. Would you give away the symbol of your greatest victory to honor the one who helped you earn it? He just did. In the distance, the crowd chants his name, demanding an encore. He glances toward the stage door, then back at her. I better go make him believe I still got it, he says with a grin that doesn't quite reach his eyes. She nods once, holding the jacket to her chest. As he walks away, she whispers, You never lost it. The sound of the cheering grows louder, swallowing their goodbye. Later that night, fans say they saw him smile differently during the finale. Calm, lighter, as if a ghost had finally stepped off his shoulders. The jacket would disappear from public view after that night. But legends don't stay hidden forever. The next morning, the Vegas Strip hums as usual, neon lights, slot bells, taxi horns. But inside the Hilton, something feels different. It's quieter, softer, as if the air itself remembers the night before. Reporters are already camped outside the lobby. The headlines roll out within hours. Elvis stops the show for his ex-wife, turns concert into confession. The Las Vegas Sun calls it the night the king laid down his crown. Bootleggers release snippets of the performance, shaky and muffled, recorded from pocket tape decks. You can hear the crowd's gasp, the hush, the line. That jacket's got stories, honey. Collectors nickname it the Jacket Show. In living rooms across America, fans replay the grainy broadcast footage. They don't see glamour, they see humanity. For once, Elvis isn't a myth. He's a man trying to find the words love left behind. Within a week, the Hilton's front office receives hundreds of letters. Veterans, widows, couples who say the show helped them forgive. One woman writes, "He sang the words my husband never got to say." Meanwhile, Graceland's staff gets a small package in the mail, postmarked from Los Angeles. Inside, the black leather jacket, neatly folded, the ink on its lining still fresh. A note attached in Priscilla's handwriting reads only, "He gave this to me once. Now it belongs where his story lives." The jacket is framed and placed in storage. Years pass. Shows end. The man who wore it grows older, gentler, quieter. And when Elvis passes in 1977, the jacket is quietly moved into the Graceland archive. No press, no announcement. It stays there, unseen, until the early 2000s, when curators rediscover it during a restoration project. The leather is cracked, but the silver writing is still clear. "For the one who knew me before the crown." They mount it behind glass. A small plaque sits beneath it. "The one he called his armor." Visitors stop there longer than anywhere else. They stare at it not because it's famous, but because it feels alive. You can almost sense the heat of the stage, the crowd's breath, the moment he saw her again. Bootleg footage resurfaces online. Fans call it the most human moment in Elvis's career. Even people who weren't born yet say it feels like being in that room, when love and regret met under the same spotlight. What pieces of our past do we still carry, even when we think we've let them go? Sometimes it's not the things we keep, but the ones we give away that tell the truth about who we were. The camera lingers on the jacket, creases like scars, stitches like veins. And near the inner pocket, faint but visible, two small initials stitched long before that night. Sometimes, the loudest sound in music is the silence that follows it. That's what Elvis left behind that night. Not applause, not spectacle, but quiet understanding. For the rest of his life, he rarely spoke of that show. When interviewers asked, he'd smile faintly and change the subject. But close friends said something changed in him after that evening at the Hilton. He became softer, slower to anger. He started ending rehearsals with one simple phrase, "Let's make it mean something." Maybe that's what the jacket did. It reminded him that meaning lives beyond fame. Years later, at Graceland, a small crowd gathers in the exhibit hall. Among guitars and capes and gold records, a light shines on one case, the black leather jacket. Behind glass, it sits perfectly still, the silver ink on its lining catching the light. Tour guides tell the story differently each time. Some say he gave it away as a symbol of closure. Others say it was an apology stitched into leather. But everyone agrees on one thing. That jacket carried more heart than any diamond ring or golden award. Visitors lean close, reading the words, "For the one who knew me before the crown." They whisper. Some smile. Some tear up, because they know what those words mean. Love isn't always about holding on. Sometimes it's about letting something go so it can come back cleaner, truer. In a diary later donated to the archives, a fan named Linda wrote, "When he sang that night, I realized love doesn't disappear. It just changes its costume. Her handwriting is shaky, but her words echo what millions felt." For Elvis, the man behind the crown, it wasn't the jacket itself that mattered. It was what it represented. A memory of courage, a moment of honesty, a love that outlived applause. Sometimes a jacket isn't a jacket, it's everything you were brave enough to survive. For him, it wasn't about reliving glory. It was about honoring the hands that once zipped him into it, the love that taught him who he really was. The crowd at that 1972 show came expecting a performance. They left carrying a story, a lesson stitched from leather and grace. The moral wasn't in the song. It was in the pause between verses. In that pause, Elvis reminded everyone watching that the past isn't a cage. It's a compass. Who, in your story, helped you become who you are? Who handed you your version of that jacket, and what would you say to them now? The lights dim in the exhibit room. The spotlight fades to a soft glow on the leather. Its shadow stretches across the wall, shaped almost like a heart. And if you listen closely, really listen, you might still hear it. the echo of that night when love, memory, and music stood perfectly still. If the story moved you, share it with someone who still believes love can echo through time. Maybe they remember the jacket, or maybe they have one of their own, a symbol of something they can't forget. Because some stories don't end. They just keep playing in quieter rooms.